ABC Listen. Podcasts, radio, news, music and more.
It's been a few big years for world news. War, pandemic, disaster. Surely we're due a quiet one in 2025.
Now they're trying to remove President Yoon as well.
All the multi-million-dollar beachfront homes are gone.
Changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
Not quiet then. I'm Matt Bevan from If You're Listening, and if you want to keep across world news, we break down the most interesting world news story each week. Find it now on ABC Listen.
It shocked Silicon Valley and set tech stocks tumbling when a little-known Chinese company, DeepSeek, launched its own artificial intelligence chatbot after spending far less money than its competitors. The sector panicked. Today, Professor Michael Blumenstein from the Artificial Intelligence Institute at UTS on what DeepSeek has managed to pull off and how it could change the entire AI landscape. I'm Sam Hawley on Gadigal land in Sydney. This is ABC News Daily.
American technology stocks have plunged after the unexpected success of a Chinese artificial intelligence company.
NVIDIA, which designs and builds graphics processing units used in AI, saw its share price fall 17%, slashing almost $1 trillion off its value.
DeepSeek is being seen as a challenge to US supremacy in the AI space and the idea that AI needs billions of dollars in infrastructure investment.
The release of DeepSeek AI from a Chinese company should be a wake-up call for our industries that we need to be laser focused on competing to win because we have the greatest scientists in the world.
Michael, to understand what's happened on the stock market, I think we better start by explaining what NVIDIA is.
So NVIDIA is the leading company that produces chips that enables the processing of AI, and it allows for very quick processing of multiple tasks. And that's what AI really requires and is hungry for. So NVIDIA therefore produces some of the top chips on the market. And of course, when the AI revolution hit, the demand for those chips just skyrocketed.
Yeah, and its value at the beginning of this year was $3.6 trillion US dollars. So, yeah, it's pretty successful.
It's huge, and it was already successful before, but since AI took off, it's really made itself as the leader in the market.
All right, but on Monday, its shares plunged. So tell me what happened.
Well, basically, the plunge was stimulated by the fact that DeepSeek, which is an app which claims to be a rival to, say, ChatGPT and other type of AI apps, became the most downloaded AI app on the App Store. Mm-hmm. And I think this definitely spooked people on the stock market. It really concerned investors because all of a sudden, a company that's just over a year old has become more popular and seemingly, by some people's views, even more successful in terms of an AI app than the existing one. So that has caused a big furor on the market. But one of the reasons is because DeepSeek has also claims to use far less chip resources, i.e. hardware, to actually function. And that, of course, has sparked significant concern on the stock market.
Well, other tech firms connected to AI, including Microsoft and Google, they also saw their values tumble in the wake of DeepSeek's sudden rise. So let's talk now about DeepSeek, which basically probably not many people have actually heard of until now. It really seems like it took the industry by surprise, right?
Yeah, totally. It's interesting because it wasn't as if it wasn't in plain view. As I said, it's a a company that's only started November 2023. So, it's quite new on the market. It has had numerous releases of various versions of AI software, just like we see, ChatGPT 4, for example. There have been many iterations over time. It has done that within the span of just over a year. And I think that it's a rival AI technology, which now is available in app form and downloadable. But it's been evolving, as I said, in plain sight for over 12 months.
Okay, so it's a Chinese company, DeepSeek, and last week it released DeepSeek R1, which is a chatbot. And as you mentioned briefly previously, it uses a fraction of these specialised computer chips that the current leading AI companies rely on. So just explain that a bit more.
Yeah, no, so that's one of the big important things to note about DeepSeek's rise on the market. It's evolved its training and its technology to be less reliant on this hardware, these chips. And so what the DeepSeek owners are saying is that the technology has been altered in the sense that the software no longer relies on as much hardware grunt to operate. So they've been able to update the software in such a way it requires less demand on the hardware to operate. And that's all been done through what they are claiming are innovations in the software itself. Now, that is a major change, that we're seeing, because what we've seen with the current companies that are dominating, they have not only have a heavy reliance on the hardware, but they've also put money to bet that they're going to need more of it. And here is a competitor that's come on the market and saying, well, actually, we've been able to come into the market without the reliance on constant expansion of hardware.
Yeah, so it's basically doing things more efficiently. It's reported to have cost $6 million to build, which is a lot less than something like ChatGPT, isn't it?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, what they're saying is it's about 3 to 5% of the cost of something like OpenAI and OpenAI's ChatGPT, and somewhere in the realms of 20 to 10 times less cost than some of the other rivals. So to me, this is a massive shift, because basically what's happened is that there has been some changes in the market. For example, the United States, through the previous Biden government, issued an order that restricted the actual export of chips to certain countries.
The United States has announced further restrictions on the export of computer chip technology to China.
As the land of liberty, America, not China, must lead the world in the development of AI.
And what that's done is it's actually said it appears that companies like DeepSeek are looking at that and going, well, how do we overcome that if we don't have access to the most cutting-edge chips? Well, let's now try and change the way our software operates so that we're not so reliant on those chips. And of course, if you've got less chips, you've got less cost. And if you've got more efficiency in the software, again, there's a reduction in cost.
And as you say, it became the most downloaded free app in the Apple App Store in the United States this week. So people like it. But Michael, is it better than ChatGPT? Do we know?
Well, this is the thing. And when you're measuring any AI technology, it's really difficult to assess whether one thing's definitely better than the other, because you've got to assess it on various problems. And so, yes, the claim is that on some benchmarks, so there's a mathematical benchmark, they're saying that DeepSeek exceeded the performance of OpenAI, but then they're saying that for other things, it's not performing as well, So, maybe in math and other computations like that, it's better, but in conversational elements of AI, it isn't. And one of the reasons also is that apparently there are some restrictions on some of the content that you could actually ask the software, which of course is problematic.
Yes, because it is, of course, a Chinese company and people have been testing this out. If you type in what happened at Tiananmen Square in 1989, well, you don't get an answer to that. They do not like that question. Anyway.
Yeah, that's correct. And other related questions as
Exactly. And anything that's critical of the Chinese government, it won't give you an answer to that. So NVIDIA, it's actually putting a really positive spin on this, saying that DeepSeek, advanced so quickly because it was still using a lot of its chips. So it thinks it's a good thing, or is that just a bit of PR going on?
I think there is obviously a bit of spin and there's obviously got to be some response given the plunge in the stock market. But to some extent, there's some merit to that statement because it is true. The reports are saying that the founder of the company stocked up on a lot of NVIDIA chips prior to the export controls issued by the United States. But the other thing, and this is the other part of the story, is that aside from having a big stockpile of these NVIDIA chips, because he and the other company members weren't able to get any more, they were reliant on less powerful chips, as well. So there's like a mix. And so that in itself asks some questions. If you can create something, let's say it's not better all the time, but let's say it's equivalent in some cases, but is more efficient, you're asking some questions there about whether do you need the constant forever expansion of hardware. But the other thing I think that NVIDIA and probably many of the other companies will say, to put a positive spin on it, is this is an illustration of where, there's an open market and real competition around AI, which will enable countries to continuously improve the technology. So in a sense, this is taking away some of the complacency from the US-dominated company market of AI and saying, well, we better realise that there's a real global race on here.
Yeah, okay. So on that note, let's, Michael, consider the wider implications of this. A Chinese company taking hold in this space so quickly and seemingly so easily. Wall Street, we know, is freaked out by this,
yes.
to put it mildly. The
yes.
US government, of course, is really concerned too, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it would be, given that it's just made announcements, I think, in the past week with the new Trump administration around a private sector investment of around $500 billion, and primarily that was around the chip technology. And of course, the view is there that if you control the market around the hardware, then you're going to win the race.
Together, these world-leading technology giants are announcing the formation of Stargate. So put that name down in your books. Begin immediately. Stargate will be building the physical and virtual infrastructure to power the next generation of advancements in AI, and this will include the construction of colossal data centers, very, very massive structures.
So what this puts into perspective is that, there may need to be a little bit more scrutiny on the software, which I personally, as someone who's looked at this research over decades now in the AI field, I personally believe that the software is a big part of the answer. What this brings to bear is that there's a broader picture here. It's not all about chasing chips and hardware. We've got to also look at the technology that's underpinning the software and see whether there's some revolutions that can occur there. And this is going to make everyone sit up to attention, because they're going to actually be looking at this more closely, not only in the US, but globally.
So what do you think, Michael? What's your assessment? Is this a sign that the AI bubble is popping, or are investors getting a bit too panicked at this point?
Look, I think they are getting a little bit too panicked at this point. If anything, the AI bubble itself won't burst. I mean, what will happen is that the thirst to get better software as well as better hardware will now be on as a race. People now won't be complacent about it. They're saying, well, if China can do it, other countries can do it potentially. So I think this will be good to spur competition. I think it'll be good to advance AI technology. And if anything, in terms of the AI bubble, it'll just keep making it grow and feed it, because now people will get more interested in it as they see other players coming onto the market.
Professor Michael Blumenstein is from the Australian Artificial Intelligence Institute at UTS. This episode was produced by Sydney Peed and Cara Jensen-McKinnon. Audio production by Sam Dunn. Our supervising producer is David Cody. I'm Sam Hawley. Thanks for listening.